Okay, everybody, we have reviewed the negative exponents in the table. So now we're going to review for the quiz. In the quiz, we're going to have what we call equivalent expressions, but I'll get to that in a second. In order for us to get to this point, we have to remember about negative exponents. So the rule says when you have a base to a negative exponent, if you want to make it positive, you put it in the denominator. So what that means is this is actually 10 to the negative n over 1. We don't have to put that 1 there. And so if we want to make this negative exponent positive, we move it to the denominator. So we're actually doing the reciprocal. This 1 becomes the numerator. This 10 to the negative n becomes 10 to the positive n. So let's look at an example with actual numbers. So this is actually 10 to the negative fifth over 1, right? In order to make this exponent positive, what we do is put it in the denominator. So we're just going to flip them. This becomes the numerator. And now since we move this to the denominator, our negative exponent disappears. It becomes 1 over 10 to the fifth power. Because remember, this is just 1/10 times 1/10 times 1/10 times 1/10 times 1/10. So this right here is an equivalent expression to this. But instead of writing the 10s out 5 times, we just write 1 over 10 to the fifth. So if we look here, when the directions say to write an equivalent expression to this one, I know it looks a little bit intimidating, but all you need to do is look at what we see here. We have a 1, and then we have 3 10s in the denominator. 1, 2, 3. So to rewrite that, an equivalent expression to this would be 1 over 10 to the third. Right here, we have 1 over 3 10s. 1 over 3 10s. 1 over 3 10s. So do you guys see that this is the same thing as this? It's just easier to write it this way. Now, an equivalent expression to these would be, remember we said here, if you have 1 over a number raised to an exponent, we know that that exponent is negative. So 1 over 10 to the fifth is actually 10 to the negative fifth. So if we have 1 over 10 to the third, that's actually 10 to the negative third. Same thing here, 10 to the negative third, 10 to the negative third, 10 to the negative third. So that's another equivalent expression to this. And then the last one is we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these 10 to the thirds, negative thirds. So we write in parentheses 10 to the negative third, and we have that how many times? 4. So do you see that? We have 1, 2, 3 equivalent expressions to this. That means that these all mean the same thing as this. Okay? So what I want you guys to see is here, before I show you the answer, I just want you to pause and think about this for a second. First, how could we rewrite 1 over 10 to the 1 over 10 times 1 over 10? So we first have to look at how many of these we have. So look at what we've done prior to this. When we had 1 over 10 to the third, that was because we had 1 over 3 10s, right? So how would we rewrite this? Great. We're going to write that as 1 over 10 to the second. And how did I get that? We have a 1 on top. But of course, you guys, 1 times 1 is 1. That's why that stays there. And then we have 2 10s in the denominator. And this whole thing is times. Now here we have this number being repeated 4 times, right? What number is being repeated 4 times? The 10 is. So it's 10 to the 4th. So does everybody see that this is an equivalent expression to this? Because we have 2 we have 2 of these that are 1 over 10, and then we have 4 10s. Now, let's see if you can do this one on your own. Just pause it. Think about what you have in the numerator. Think about what you have in the denominator and rewrite that. Okay, so you should have 1, 2, 3 10s in the numerator. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10s in the denominator. So I just write it that way. So you're going to use what we learned in the table plus what we did here to work on the quiz. There is a link to this worksheet if you want to print it out and review it again, that's fine. All right, thank you, and good luck on the quiz.